Great. Let's get that recording going. Brilliant. All right, fantastic. So we'll get cracking. And as you know, you've registered for the webinar, so kind of know the topic, but really it's all about how to make your life that little bit less stressful when working on Facebook ads by building your own automated reports, which is actually a very easy process to go through and saves a huge amount of time. So this session is really all about how you can do that and the sorts of reports you probably want to be thinking about building. Throughout, please do feel free to just get involved, ask loads of questions. If there's anything you want to check on, shout, interrupt, just get stuck in. Zoom's got a chat functionality which you can drop questions in. There's also a QA panel that you can drop questions in as well, and we'll answer those. You can drop us a line on Twitter. Ellie is on hand as well, who will be jumping in and interrupting if she sees questions. Hey Ellie,
hello,
you there? I think you might be muted.
Hello.
Excellent. Hey, yeah, perfect. So Ellie will make we've got a novelty sound effect to launch when someone asks a question.
Shall I give a sneak peek?
Go on. Is it going to work? No. All right. Well, we'll just jump in anyway. But yeah, please do just ask questions, basically. Cool. So, I guess the whole kind of the first point here is why would you want to build your own automated reports and extract data? And the main thing really is the fact that Facebook make it very difficult to see the bigger picture when you're trying to get insights. So if you want to see a longer term trend, that's something I find quite difficult within the Facebook Ads Manager. If you need to diagnose issues, sometimes it's just a bit clunky to get to the point. So I find kind of building your own reports and the views that you need makes that far easier. Also, the point of Facebook being pretty unstable is an important one. So some days it's just great and everything's cool. Other days it's just really, really good. And then Facebook go and change something and it's the most frustrating thing in the world. So basically, there are good days, there are bad days. Every campaign is going to have a bad day at some point. Personally, having the right data and the right view in my back pocket, I find to be a really big de-stressor. So this whole kind of presentation is really about kind of going through some of the more, I guess, stressful elements and scenarios of running Facebook ads, looking at those scenarios and going, well, if you have this report created, then it's going to make that particular thing far easier. Cool. So the first one is overspending. And, this I think is pretty terrifying. The thought of going way over or even going way under budget is a really big deal, and something that's pretty stressful. So, if you've been given budget, someone somewhere has fought tooth and nail for that, right? So they've gone through probably an extended process to get the budget, and then the fact that they've trusted you with it is massive. So, I think it's a huge responsibility for anyone managing accounts, agency side, in-house, whatever. Getting the spend right is really key. So to me, this is really the first candidate for an automated report. But, tracking budgets can be really tricky. So it sounds simple, but in some scenarios where you've got a budget in one currency, you've got platforms set up in another currency, you've got different business units with different budgets that you've got to break out and report back to, seasonal budgets, different campaign budgets. It can get really complex and almost turn into a full-time job by itself. So, really, building an automated report that tracks budget is going to save you a massive amount of time and just mean that you can come in, look at a report and know that life's okay. And it's really easy to do. So we'll walk you through that process. So your monthly budget, obviously. So we need to kind of pull in a few different numbers. So month-to-date spend, yesterday's spend, remaining days of the month, And then we can work out how much budget we've got left, times that by the number of days left in the month, and get a forecasted daily spend that we need to spend to hit the budget. So it basically means we know whether or not we're under, we're over, and what we need to do to kind of fix that problem. So one of the tools that we'll run through quite a lot in this presentation is a tool called Supermetrics, which we use like day in, day out. And it pulls data from Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube, Twitter ads, MailChimp, wherever you kind of need to pull data from. It will pull data from there, pull it into Google Sheets or Google Data Studio. It means you can build whatever custom report you need. So saves so much time. Not paid by them, don't get a free license, but we use it so much that this is kind of what we're basing it on. So, you know the budget. We're going to pull in spend to date via Supermetrics. We'll pull in yesterday's spend via Supermetrics. And then the formula here, remaining days, pop that formula into a cell in Google Sheets, and it will tell you the number of days remaining in the month. So this is just a working example here. So we've got the cost. Then this is kind of how it looks in Google Sheets. So we'll select cost as the metric. Then for the dates, we'll select month to date. Obviously, it depends on kind of what time period you're doing this on. And then we'll kind of pull that in. So click the button, and sit and wait for a little bit. It will run the query, and it's really as simple as that. That's it, and it's done. Now, what we want to do is have a report that's refreshed every day. So that when we come into the office, we know what the run rate is, we know what the spend is, and we can adjust if we need to adjust. So what we do then is we go to schedule, refresh, and emailing, open that up, and we can just set a trigger to refresh that sheet once a day at, let's say, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, something like that. So it's fresh when we come in to work that next morning. In terms of currency conversion, so Google Sheets has a formula. So if you drop this formula into Google Sheets, it will take care of any currency conversions for you. So it will go from one currency to another. So the example here would be USD, so US dollars to GBP, so British sterling. This just makes it so much easier when you are running accounts or you have ad platforms in different currencies to the one you've been given a budget in. Like, it just takes all of that legwork out. So definitely a formula worth having. Cool. Any questions on the budget tracking side of things? Please jump in, drop something in the chat if you do. Okay, cool. So this is like a classic Facebook thing. When you've got an ad set or an ad or a campaign that's just working and it's going great guns, and then suddenly one day it just stops working so well. So loads of different reasons why that might happen, but these are like the usual ones. So audience fatigue, i.e. your audience has just seen too many of your ads and it's time to kind of give them a bit of a break. That could be on the ad side, it could be on the audience side, kind of depends what you've been running. Could be a new competitor that's come in. If that's the case, then are they just buying the space that you were buying? Negative feedback, and this is one that's often forgotten. Like, you could be running in a campaign where all the metrics are kind of looking great, but people stop buying. But when you go and look at the ad level, there's some negative comments that might be putting people off. So loads of different things that can creep in, all worth checking. But, you know, if you know what metrics tie into which problem, you can really start to diagnose things. So fatigue is really about frequency. So the average number of times someone in your audience is seeing your ad, or CTR. So if frequency is rising and CTR is tanking, chances are you've probably got a fatigue issue. Competition, if a new competitor comes in and starts buying up loads of space, or like a lot of new competitors come in, then the cost is going to rise. So the cost per 1,000 impressions, CPM, is going to rise. That's a pretty good indicator that things are more competitive. Kind of like you would see over a Black Friday weekend when everyone is advertising on Facebook, CPM just goes bonkers. So this is where kind of having a historic trend or a historic view is incredibly useful. So, you know, I find it really difficult to get this view within the Facebook Ads Manager. What we're looking at here is CTR and frequency. So frequency being the blue line, CTR being the red line. And you can see that there's been like a few spikes in this particular ad set for frequency. So where frequency has just jumped up, pretty much timed in with that, CTR drops down. So having, being able to see this view means that we can preempt that perhaps, or if we find out that performance has dropped, we can clearly see that frequency is an issue here. So we just need to refresh the ads. So again, just kind of a little run through of how to do it. So basically, select the date. So I want a really nice long period. So I'll go for year to date here. Metrics, really we're interested in CTR and frequency. You can put whatever you want in there, basically, as long as the metric's available in Facebook, you can pull it. I'm going to split out by date, so I get a daily view over time. And then we can have filters if we want. So we can have filters for different campaigns, different ads, all that type of stuff. And then once we're kind of ready, rather than pulling the data into a table, I'm going to pull the data into a line chart. And then I'm going to hit go. In a second. There we go, cool. And then it will fetch it, it will pull it into a chart. So there we go, all done. Now I could set that to refresh daily if I want to, but basically it's that easy to get the view, and Facebook ads make it pretty tricky. Cool. So CBO, campaign budget optimization. This is like a really major change that's coming up in September. I'm sure like a few of you know about it already. But just as a recap, CBO is campaign budget optimization. So this is when you set the budget at the campaign level rather than the ad set level. And then Facebook basically goes, well, we'll distribute the budget based on performance across your ad sets. So you're no longer getting the control over spend at the ad set level, which I think is a great feature if you're trying to automate things, but the fact that it's going to be a forced option in September is a little bit frightening. This is Facebook's take on it. So Facebook's take is it's campaign budget optimization is a way of optimizing the distribution of a campaign budget across your campaign's ad sets. They're basically saying that is so that they can find or continuously find the best active opportunities for results, which makes it sound great. However, like the reports from the field are slightly different. So like we've seen a bit of this in our own testing. It works for a bit, then it doesn't work, or it works okay, or it works terribly. And this thread here on Twitter is a really good one. So we go and take a look at it, but he's basically saying, look, I've got this account where I'm spending kind of 250K a month on this account. Let's see what CBO actually does to the results. By the time he actually posted the results in this thread, he'd spent $860,000 on the CBO campaign. And if you look at the results, so it's kind of a little hard to digest, but the CBO on the the ROAS, return on ad spend, on the normal standard retargeting was 3 times spend, but on the CBO is 1.85. So that's a significant drop in ROAS there. So not quite as glorious and shiny as Facebook are saying it is. But in terms of like reporting, like what I wanted to do was look at how Facebook are distributing the daily spend when we switch to campaign budget optimization. So if we're saying, hey, Facebook, you decide how to spend my money, I kind of want to know how they're spending the money. So this chart here shows its daily spend by ad set, pre and post CBO. So the bit before that arrow is the standard one where we were adjusting budget. And then you can see it just go absolutely bonkers when we switch to CBO. So it kind of goes, I don't really know what to spend. It's obviously changing things daily. It drops an ad set a bit, and then really picks it up for a couple of days and drops it again. It's a little bit chaotic. This is one where we were looking at traffic. So again, like slightly higher volume here in terms of events or touch points for Facebook to monitor. But when we turned it on, if you look at the yellow and the orange and the red line at the bottom, it just totally binned about 3 ad sets, picked up that blue one, went crazy for about a week, dropped it off, and then re-picked up the red one. So it's quite strange spend behavior. But unless you're looking in this view and you just cannot see this view in Facebook ads, it's really difficult to kind of figure out. So I don't mean this personally, but fatigue is like the classic kind of paid social issue. So frequency is the metric you really want to be looking at, as we've kind of discussed. So frequency is average number of times an audience has seen your ad over a particular time frame. So you can obviously see that in the Facebook Ads Manager itself. So if you go to the report view and you look at the delivery view, you'll get frequency. But kind of what I really want to be able to see is a big list of ads with frequency included. So kind of big list of ads, number of impressions, spend, all that type of stuff, and then frequency included. So I can really quickly see if any of the ads that I'm currently running are going above a comfortable threshold. One of the things we also do is build out dashboards. So they might be like a Google Data Studio dashboard or a dashboard in Google Sheets with kind of KPIs like spend and ROAS and revenue and that type of stuff. But it's quite easy to build into that, just a little table that goes, right, here are your ads that are going above your frequency threshold. These are the ones that you need to focus on in terms of refreshing everything. So here's another little look at how we do that. So metric, all we want really here is frequency. Again, select the time frame that you are kind of caring about. I think in this case, we'll take last 30 days. There we go, so just last X days, then last 30 days. Check that in. And then again, like if you just want to filter out different campaigns, then you can, it's dead easy to do so. Pop in whatever metric you want and then off you go. But it basically means that I've got just a really clear, concise list of ads that will need my attention in the immediate future. So very helpful. One of the other things you can do in the Facebook Ads Manager is send automated reports or just emails and notifications. So if you go into the Ads Manager and you go select an ad or an ad set or kind of anything you want, then you go to rules, and then you can go, right, my action is I want to send a notification, or I want to pause ads if you want to pause ads when the frequency goes above whatever your comfort range is. So in this case, we've put 2.8. and then set it up and it will just send me a notification. I can then go in and make a judgment call on whether or not to refresh the ad or pause it or turn something else on. So this is like a really big, annoying one sometimes. So we want to double our spend or like dramatically change the spend level on an account, which is clearly never going to be a good idea. So step back, have a drink, relax, and then you've really got to think about some options. So whether or not you're saying yes to that or whether or not you're steering them away, I think it's always useful to have some idea as to how you could scale in your back pocket. So that is basically new audience ideas, new ad creative, or just an idea as to what you've currently got running that you can scale. There's loads of different ways you can do that. Everyone's going to have their methods, but here's just one example. So this is an idea that kind of looks at data outside of Facebook ads, which is always really useful. So in this case, like we're looking at in GA at a paid segment for paid social. So we're going, right, I'm setting up a segment for whenever someone's come to my website and their first interaction with the website was via paid social. So you will need to have UTM parameters set up for this, but it's, you know, as long as you've got that, then you can set up these segments. Once you've done that, you can go and look at any report in GA by kind of just applying that paid social segment and look at any report for just paid social traffic. So one of those will be interests and then the affinity categories. So this is basically taking the topics or like categories of interest from the Google Display Network and showing you who within, you know, who's buying on your website and what buckets they fall into. So if you just want some ideas as to different what you can target, then that's a really good way of doing it. Obviously, you can sort that by revenue and get a really pretty clear commercial view on different interests. As I mentioned, like in terms of ads and audiences, I really kind of want a list of audiences that I know I can scale. So what I'm looking at here is frequency. So obviously if it's below my threshold, then I know I've got more headroom on spend, and CPA. So if the CPA is healthy and the frequency is healthy, in theory, I can spend more money and I can grow that particular audience or ad set. One thing worth noting here is this is where naming conventions come in really handy, because like if you've just named them in random ways, it's going to be really hard to kind of get a view on your audiences. But if you're naming your ad set by audience, it's much clearer to kind of diagnose. So again, this is how you do it. You can see we've got a collection of metrics here. We're going to split out to ad set name rather than date, filter out as we want. I want kind of a few metrics, so impressions, frequency, reach, to get a sense of kind of the broader picture. You can pretty much do whatever you want there. So very easy to do. Obviously, if you want to set that up to refresh daily, we can do that as well. And then if you want to repeat that by ads, you can. It's basically the same process, but rather than splitting by ad set, you split to rows by ads. It's as simple as that. Cool. So this is kind of one that I think is really important when you're taking over a new account. So, are you running a load of ads to pages that are doing well, but you're inadvertently missing high revenue generating pages on the website? Kind of want to know that so you can get them in. So to do that, when you go to your Facebook Ads Manager, you can customize the view and the report that you're seeing. One of the options that you can add in is link. So that is the destination URL, i.e. landing page. And then once you've got that, you can export everything into Excel. So repeat that process in GA. So get your highest revenue generating landing pages, export those, and then it's really easy to do a lookup between those two data sets. So is this highest revenue generating landing page reported in GA in my Facebook ads campaign? If not, why not? Let's get it in. So in terms of key takeaways, basically, think about the worst, most stressful, most hideous things that are going to happen when you're running Facebook ads. Think about any data points that can pre-warn you or quickly help you diagnose the cause of those things, and then just build automated reports around those things. And that is basically it. So yeah, thanks a lot for listening. Hopefully that was useful. If anyone's got any questions, please do ask, drop an email, send us a tweet, that kind of thing. So yeah, please do go ahead and ask questions. We got any on the QA, Ellie? Not yet, no. Cool. Oh. Great stuff. So, okay. So we'll be sending the recording round. Feel free to drop an email with any questions. And yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. Cheers. Bye.